this NTE electronics heat shrink that I purchased, HS-ASST-9, and I'm going to be using it on my mouse repair, and we're going to see how good this stuff really is for tiny little wires and for repairs. So this is my review of the HS-ASST-9 from NTE Electronics that you can get on the big A online. One is, I've got 3 different pieces of heat shrink. The 2 yellow are the same size, the red is a little bigger, and my goal is going to be, if this works out right, that I will splice my wires together, which I'm going to try to put heat shrink on those 2. I will be able to slide the yellow up over the bundle and build it up, slide another yellow over and build that up, and then if I did this right, slide the red over there, and I don't know if that's going to fit. I might have to use one bigger size and try to build up a bundle to protect the area that I worked on. Again, you could really see the time invested to do this is ridiculous. Reviewing a few different sizes, I'm going to use the smallest size heat shrink that they offer in this package to solder the individual wires. I'll be cutting, I've cut them as small as I can. I want it to be long enough so that I can get a good cover over the wire, the solder connection, but you got to be really careful because when you solder these wires together, unless you are very quick, the heat is going to go shrink the heat shrink and it's going to be worthless. So I'm going to go over to the soldering iron now, strip all the wires, tin them, put the heat shrink on there, solder everything, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like as the heat shrink is getting ready to be shrunk, and then I'll slide all the other heat shrink over here and we'll see how this repair works and how the heat shrink works. Where I'm at so far, the soldering went fairly well. The ground kind of looks wussy, but it will work. The heat shrink is very nice. I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it. This has just been heat shrunk by using what am I saying, heat shrunk? This has just been shrunk by using the heat from the barrel of the soldering iron, and it did really well. I'm kind of worried about using a heat gun on this thing. I really should, but I don't want to melt the wires, but we're going to check this heat shrink out and see how good it is. It really did shrink down well. This wire is extremely tiny, so my review of this heat shrink is I'm happy with it, and I'm going to finish off the job now with a heat gun and see how it works. I used a heat gun. I'm happy with this heat shrink. It's worth the money. It's a good product. So let me go finish off throwing some of the heat shrink over, some of the thicker heat shrink over the cable to try to build it up, and we'll see how that works. Okay, that's the first of 2 pieces of yellow heat shrink that I've got prepared. The heat gun is up to about 580 degrees. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with this stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the second piece over that. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit so I don't melt the second piece. Second piece went over, so let me get the heat gun heated up now. Got it set to about 550, 300, 400, 500, 560. Let's see how quick this thing works. Very nice. It's so nice to have some heat shrink at home that I can use. The job is going to come out really nice because I was able to get a good solder connection, and the heat shrink is really going to save this project. And if you remember, I put all that extra heat shrink up on the spare part of the cable so that I could do this to build it up, and it was a good idea. So I've got the red heat shrink now, which is the bigger size. So far I've used the tiniest white for the wires. That worked very well. And I used the 2 yellow pieces. That was the next size up. That worked really well. And I'm using the next size up to red just to build up the cable a little bit more. Good product. You can see though, as I said at the beginning of this project, it's a lot of effort for who knows what. Not sure it's worth it, but I wanted to make the video. And the heat shrink is beautiful. Look at that. Very happy with the heat shrink. So, and I didn't show that on the video, but I added one more piece of heat shrink in case I needed to use it. I don't know if this is too big. This is the biggest size. But I'm sliding it up now. And yeah, this is probably way too big. But this will be a good test of the heat shrink. This is probably twice as big as it needs to be. And I think this stuff is supposed to shrink down well over 50%. So let's see what it does. Very good test before I finish off the project. I'm going to crank up the heat just a little bit, since there's a lot to shrink, and I don't want to hold it on there too long. So we're at about, why isn't that going up? We're at about 750. That's why the lights are going on and off, because I'm cranking up the power. All right, let's see if this thing shrinks to 50%. Maybe not, maybe so. It looks good. It definitely looks good. Okay, my review of the heat shrink, I'm very happy with this. The NTE stuff that I bought on Amazon. And it made a really good, solid connection. If you don't want to do this, then go in there and try to encapsulate it with some bonding material or something. I still don't think this is going to be worth doing for a project, but as far as my review for the heat shrink, very happy with it. Good product, good price. Go buy it if you want to. And now back on to finishing off the mouse repair.